Hello, friends. Welcome to Josiah Venture Stories. You will hear incredible stories of life change from the mission field and be inspired by the movement of God in Central and Eastern Europe. I'm your host, Gwen Turner, and I am so excited to share today's conversation with you. Today on the show are Urh and Doroteja Kolar. They both grew up in Slovenia, but in very different families. Neither of them believed in God growing up, but came to know Jesus through Josiah Venture's summer camps. Their paths first crossed at a Fusion camp in 2013, and 2 years later, they served together as interns in Celje, Slovenia. Today, they continue serving in Celje, Slovenia, Urh's hometown, where Urh leads the youth ministry, Doroteja leads Fusion Celje. They were married in 2018 and now parents to 2 daughters, Iva and Mila, and they are living on mission together as a family. Deeply grateful for how God transformed their own lives, they count it a privilege to help students in Slovenia discover the hope of Jesus for themselves. Urh and Doroteja, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
I'm so excited. I'm so excited you guys are both on the podcast because I have to, here at the start, give people a little context. Actually, Urh was the very first person I interviewed for the Josiah Venture Stories podcast, but you're episode number 3. So
What?
what? And now you're together for episode 159.
Heyo.
Hey-o. Well, I'm so
That's
excited.
how long it takes. That's how long it takes us to get back to the podcast.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, if you want to be a return guest, you have to wait a few episodes, you know. Anyway, okay, let's talk about you guys. Here at the start, just tell a little bit more. I know I read a lovely intro about you guys, but what do you guys like to do for fun? Tell me about your family, those 2 little girls.
Yeah, almost made me cry just listening to our story. What do we like to do for fun? That's a great question, Gwen. I think we like going on hikes together as a family, and now that our girls are a little bit older, we can do that more successfully. But I think both of us, we like different things to do for fun. Urh likes to be very active. He likes cycling and running. And I like to do things with my hands. I like gardening and I like embroidery and grandma stuff, as people call it these days.
Yes, grandma hobbies like gardening and embroidery. You make the most beautiful embroidery, so
thank you.
Keep doing it.
But yeah, we enjoy our little girls and are just thankful to be a family on mission.
Anything you want to add, Urh, to your fun family hobbies or personal interests?
No, I think Dorotea got it all. I think maybe any other hobbies would be like, I don't know, screaming, and dancing,
twirling,
like everything, you know, climbing our stairway railing, anything crazy. That's kind of how our house looks like most of the days.
Yes, I've seen it in person, live in action.
It's a little chaotic.
But it's beautiful. It's beautiful. You guys have created a beautiful life for yourselves in Slovenia. But let's go back to the beginning because I need the people to hear a little bit about your story. I was able to see it firsthand living in Slovenia with you guys and meeting you guys when you guys were like teenagers, which is crazy to me. But let's talk about your love story, how the Lord brought you together.
Yeah, I mean, it's a crazy story. And we were talking earlier today. If you asked us 12 years ago or 13 years ago when we met, there's not a chance in the world that we would say this is where we would be at today. But yeah, we met in 2013 at Fusion Camp. And then we were just friends for a long time. Eventually, we interned together with Josiah Venture, and that did not go as planned.
We say they didn't really like each other for
We
a while.
I think I would say like we despised each other, or like we just
Wow,
really
yeah.
did not like each other at all.
Yeah, we were like, could you guys just get along? Can we just like
No.
No.
But I think like looking back now, I think the Lord was really just working on our hearts individually. And at the same time, I think he was starting to prepare us for what was to come, even though that sounds kind of funny. And we were not even friends at that point. But he really like did a lot that summer. And we're really grateful for that. I would do it again in a heartbeat.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, then it took like another year or so before we realized that we liked each other, and started dating eventually. And then the rest is history,
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
But I really feel like that internship was so crucial for us both. And even at the end of that summer, we like sat down at one point and apologized and asked for forgiveness. It's so weird because the next day, or like even right after we asked for forgiveness, we were best friends.
Yeah. Wow.
It's really hard to explain, and I don't even still understand what happened, but I think that's just how the Lord works sometimes.
Yeah, and that also shows the power of forgiveness too, and how that,
For
and
sure.
even that laying a foundation in your relationship, forgiveness being a foundational piece, and then building on that friendship, I think it's beautiful. And then we were like, whoa, they like each other. Whoa, they love each other. Whoa, they're getting married. Whoa. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, looking back, that reconciliation moment that happened at the end of our internship, one of the sweetest memories with Dorotea. Like, I still remember how the evening looked like. I'm sure you had that gray sweater with the California bear on it. It's just such a beautiful moment. Yeah, and
You
that was the
remember all the
beginning.
details about it. Yeah.
I do.
Wow. And now you guys are married. You guys have been married, oh my gosh, 8
Yes.
years
Mm-hmm.
doing ministry in Wood's hometown, which is so fun. So, and you guys also met at a fusion camp. Okay. So, when you first experienced Fusion, our wonderful music ministry, or sorry, it's a relational ministry that uses music as a tool. Right.
Yeah, well done, Gwen.
Yes. Thank you.
I still got it.
I
Still
know.
got it.
It's ingrained in my brain forever. But what was it about Fusion when you guys first experienced that as young people, as students? Like, what was that about Fusion that really captured your hearts?
Yeah, I think for me, I've always been in choirs, always been a part of like the different vocal groups and stuff. And so the music was a natural buy-in from me. But I think what I found in Fusion that I never experienced anywhere else is the feeling of being accepted. And I was really longing for that as I was growing up and as I was in high school. And so finding a place where you belong really just meant so much. And that's why I stayed. The music is still fun all these years later. It's always fun. But it's the people and the relationships that you built along the way that stay. And yeah, I think that's why I stayed.
I think, for me, I would say probably similar things, but maybe a little bit deeper down inside of me that I didn't really necessarily feel at the very top of who I am because I was so cool at that moment when I first came to Fusion that I,
Yeah, so cool.
Yes, exactly.
Yes,
So
right.
cool. Yeah, air quotes. So cool. So for me, it really was the music, and was like that was a big part. But also, I think very early on, the genuine care of people who were leaders at that time, that was a significant moment for me. And I'm sure you remember, Gwen, my 18th birthday party, like, the cake and the surprise and
Yes.
the letter I got from Brooke and Johnny, and at that point I wasn't around for that long, maybe like
Couple months.
2 months.
Yeah.
And so for someone who hasn't been around for that long, when people said, if you need anything, let us know. Like that, to me, that was huge. That was probably the biggest part of, staying. And yeah.
And that was genuine. Like we genuinely meant that, even after
Yeah.
knowing you just for a short amount of time. Yeah. I love that you two both speak of the heart piece of Fusion. And I think that's what resonates for a lot of young people is it's not just about the music, but they stay because they find that authentic, genuine community. And really that is rooted in God and what he represents, So, Fusion Celje, Fusion Celje, Fusion in general is just like an amazing ministry. And for us who have experienced it like truly up close and personal, like Fusion Celje will always have a special place in my heart as I led it for many years in Slovenia and then was able to pass it on to the two of you. Like that was such a pivotal moment in leadership and ministry in the history of Fusion Celje. But for you guys, as you have taken on the baton of leadership and as you've led it now since 2020, right? I think it started kind of fall 2019 and then when I moved to the Czech Republic, like passing it on to you guys. Yeah, taking on the ministry in the middle of COVID, fun times. But but how have you guys seen Fusion truly impact the lives of young people in your church and in your community? And if you have any stories specifically of students, would love to hear some of those as well.
Yeah. I would love to tell you hundreds and hundreds of stories of how people came to know Jesus and they're still part of our church and our ministry. But that is not what it is. And that's totally fine. Over the years, we've seen a lot of people come and go. We've seen people come and learn something and then also leave. And we've seen people come to know Jesus, stay for a little bit, and then, maybe go off to college and kind of forgetting their walk with the Lord because of either lack of community or, I don't know, maybe not staying in touch. But recently, one of the guys who was part of Fusion a long time ago started coming back to our local church. And seeing him after like 8 years, it was just so interesting because what happened to him was at college he wasn't plugged into a local church.
Yeah.
And back then I remember thinking about this and going like, oh, if you can just make a little bit more effort, you can probably be plugged into some local community. But as I reflected on the past, and I would say that, when he left for college, I would say those exact words. But reflecting now, I go, yeah, that it makes a lot of sense. It's a new environment, like new people, confusing times. My life has changed. So I can't really blame him.
Yeah.
For that. I was in my local church, I was fine. But I don't know, like maybe, I would walk away from the Lord, or maybe, if I would be in a similar situation. So that was a very interesting realization for me when I recently met with him. But as he was talking about his, last 8 to 10 years, at some point during this period of time, he just hit the rock bottom.
Yeah.
And he was like, I ran away and at some point realized I can't keep running away or do this on my own. And that's the beautiful thing about, seeds being planted into people's lives, because we never know how someone's spiritual path is going to turn out. You know,
Right. Only
we
Jesus
see,
does. Yeah.
right? And we see it for that maybe short period of time when they're part of our ministry, and then they go away, and we go, well, now they're lost forever, you know? But this was such a cool moment where God obviously pursued him, you know, hit the rock bottom, and then, like, when I met with him, I walked into the coffee shop and I found him praying with his Bible, and I go, like,
What?
that's so refreshing to see. And so I don't know, it just made me appreciate how gracious God is, for not just for me, as I, you know, when I think about my life, I'm in the ministry, I'm in a local church, like, it just seems like so obvious to me, all of these, you know, Christian things. Um, but to see someone who was out there on, literally on the sea, you know, for a long time, going through life in a very unknown world, and how he came back now and he's like, yes, I want to follow Jesus. That's just
Hmm. Hmm.
beautiful.
Oh, that is beautiful. And even as I was thinking about this podcast coming up, I did some reflecting this past week and was like looking back at old videos and photos, and I tagged you guys some in some Instagram stories. But just looking back and like remembering all of these faces, these people, like some I was looking through photos and I was like, "Oh shoot, I don't remember her name." And I was thinking, but God does. Like, God
Mhm.
knows exactly where that person is, exactly everyone who's come through this ministry. And, like, I got some of those, like, random comments after people who, like, "Oh, yeah, I forgot you follow me." They were like, "Thanks for taking me down memory lane," or "Thanks for sharing. Those are some of the best years of my life," and, you know, things like that. And I'm like, yes, like, the ripple effects continue even when you're not, like, directly in someone's life, you know? And it's like,
Mhm.
and hope that's the gospel, like, hopefully they remember those stories. And yeah. Dorotea, what about you?
Yeah, I just want to add to this. Like, I think, as I've been reflecting too, I think maybe Fusion for someone is just the best time in their week. And maybe it's the way that gets them through high school or elementary school and is like the bright spot in their lives for 4 years. Maybe they don't get to know the Lord, but I think all of these people heard the gospel.
Right.
And I have to trust and have faith that the Lord is bigger than that and that He's doing things behind the scenes when we don't know.
Mhm.
And so the story that Urh shared, like, makes me want to cry because there's so many stories like that and so many people that have been so close to us, dear to our hearts, that are not around anymore. But I have to
Mhm.
believe that the Lord still sees them and that He's still pursuing them in one way or another. And that gives me hope, gives me a lot of hope. And then
Mhm.
there's
Mhm.
other stories of students who were a part of our ministry and are still around. You know, there's two
Yeah.
girls that were a part of our fusion recently, and they didn't come to know the Lord necessarily just because of fusion. It was one of the things that impacted their lives, I would say. But
Mhm.
what's really interesting in both of their stories is that they stayed around because they were plugged into our church. And they had a relationship with many people from our church. They were being discipled by me and by other women in our church. And not just poured into by one person, but like many people working together to disciple them both. And I think that's such a great example of what we want to see. Because they're still around now. Maybe they don't live in Celje anymore because one of them is at college and one of them got married and moved to a different part of Slovenia. but they're both still involved in churches where they're at. One of them was at our Fusion Camp last week, and she was one of the leaders. And so it's stories like that that's one example of when we did it right, if there's a right way of doing it. Like I think it's just a good picture of of how the church and Fusion kind of came together. And we both, we all worked together to disciple these two young ladies. And today they're like wonderful, solid Christian women following the Lord and trying to make disciples wherever they are. And that's what we want to see,
Yeah, that's the picture of the body of believers coming together and like surrounding. It's not just one person, it's multiple people sharing their lives and pouring into people. And you never know. You never know what God is going to do. I remember one time I was at the top of Celje Castle, looking out at the beautiful view. If you guys have been there, I know you two have been there. It's just so gorgeous. And like you're looking out this beautiful scene, looking down at this city. And I remember specifically going up there to pray about 3 girls I was discipling at the time. And they're all doing crazy things I'm like, what? Like, why aren't they following Jesus like I want them to? Like, all just like, they should be doing this, they should be doing that. And I wasn't sure what was next. It's like, I don't know what's going to happen in their lives. But I felt like God was like, do you think that I don't love them as much as you? Do you think that I don't see them and their future and what's coming down the line? And it was a really cool moment for me because I was just in Slovenia recently and was able to meet up with 2 of these girls. And they're living their life. But it was one of those moments where it's like, oh, I knew you when you were 14 and now you're like almost 30, all these years of ministry, by getting to see how God's not done with their story. God's not done with any of us and how he continues to walk alongside. And so thank you too for sharing that story about the person who, he was reading his Bible and came back to Jesus. Like, so those are going to continue to happen. And that's a beautiful thing. Hello, friends. I'm quickly interrupting this episode to remind you about our online prayer room. Right now, there's a special intern section where you can see and pray for specific requests from our 2026 summer interns. As you see their faces and read their requests, pray that God will use them mightily in the lives of those they meet and invest in this summer. You can download our free mobile app for iPhone and Android today or visit pray.josiahventure.com. The links to these resources are in the show notes. Thank you for praying with us. And now, back to the episode. You guys also just finished camp. So many years and years of camps. Camp's always a fun time. It's always we call it like the cherry on top of the cake of ministry. It's like the highlight of the time. But I would love to hear how camp went this year. Some stories, how young people responded to the gospel this year. And please.
I always say this every year, camp is like the best week of my life. That year. And it's just so fun. And so much happens in such a short amount of time. This year, we had 36 students at camp, which I believe is the most that we've ever had at Fusion Celje Camp.
I think so, yeah.
I think so, yeah. I think maybe it was 35 before, but now we have 36. So,
yeah.
It was just super exciting because this year we also didn't do any promotion for it.
Really? Wow.
And so the Lord just brought these kids from all kinds of different places. We had international students. We had 2 girls from Germany. We had a girl from Serbia. We had students from literally all over Slovenia, not just from Celje. And that was very exciting to see that like so many different people came. I feel like this year the students were just so open to the point that I wasn't expecting that or that openness from them. Just the conversations that happened with different people throughout camp, it was really incredible to hear from our American team and from our other leaders, like the conversations that they got to have. So that's always for sure a highlight for me. But one of the things that we did this year during the labyrinth, which is a thing that we do on gospel night, where every student has a chance to go through different stations and reflect on their week and what we've been talking about, and just kind of see where they're at. And so at the end of the labyrinth, we had a station with a cross. And every student had a chance to leave their fingerprint on the cross. But they could leave the fingerprint in different colors. And so,
cool.
Yeah, it was very cool. So we had like green, blue, red, orange, and purple. And green and blue were along the lines of, I believe in God and I want to follow him. Both of those colors were kind of in that realm. And then orange and red were meant, I don't believe in God, I'm not interested, kind of like that. And out of everyone at camp, just in their private one-on-one time with the Lord, no one was looking. They each got to have their like intimate time with God and leave that fingerprint. And at the end of the night, we looked at the cross and there were maybe 5 orange and red fingerprints. And every other fingerprint was green and blue.
Wow.
And that to me was just such a strong picture of how open these kids are, and how much they want this, how hungry they are for the Lord. Now, this doesn't necessarily reflect their end of camp survey or professions of faith, but I do think it reflects this like openness and, like I said, in their intimate one-on-one time with the Lord, they were able to be honest with where they were at. And I just love that so much. So that for me was a highlight of camp, 100%.
Beautiful. Beautiful. What about for you?
Yeah, no, I definitely echo what Dorotea said, but
You piggyback off of that echo.
Piggyback off it, yes. Echo of the echo. No, but for sure, one of my highlights is, every time at Fusion Camp, our Thursday and Friday rehearsals. Those are the first 2 times when we put everyone together in the band and people start playing together for the first time. And it's messy and it's hard and it's sweaty and hot and it's just loud. Standing in front of everyone on Saturday, dress rehearsal before the concert, I was able to be there and go, I'm so proud of everyone. In the songs where, we play this one song that had this guitar solo, and then, we had to count in, and it was like 1, 2, 3, and then on the 4, the choir came in, and so like the whole band and the choir getting that part without me being in front of them and showing them.
Yeah.
Oh, so amazing.
Magical moment.
It's magical, yes. And so seeing all of these young people, getting it at their instruments and the choir singing the right parts, man, that's such a highlight and always shows me how capable these students are. And I don't think they believe that. when they come in the beginning of the week. And so, every time someone getting in on the right beat or getting the drum part or the guitar part, oh, so impressive. And it was really cool during all of these rehearsals. There was one girl, she was singing this song called Here We Go. That was one of my favorite songs, but she had just the right voice for it, but she was kind of shy and not really sure if, she's doing everything correctly. But being able to tell her after we did the song for maybe the first or second time and she goes, "Oh, I did such a bad job." And I go, "Yes, you did miss a few times, but look at everything else that you've done right in this song. You need to focus on that." And so having this positive environment where, students can try things and fail or not get it completely right without being shamed for it.
Right.
That's always fun. And I told her, you should come in for the other song free that I'm playing on drums and you will see all of my mistakes because I make so many of them. But it's fine. And so having that, people like this, so having young people see that even we as leaders, we make mistakes and it's fine. And we don't like spiral into complete hopelessness or go after each other for making mistakes. I think that's one of my favorite parts of camps.
I think that's one of the things too about Fusion Camp, and any Josiah Venture Camp in general is like the encouraging environment that happens, and not just like you did it wrong and like that shame that you're talking about.
Yeah.
But that like look what you did right, like reframing the question or the perspective. Yeah.
Exactly. I do joke all the time that I have extra cymbals and chairs ready to throw at people, but it never happens. My tempo. My tempo.
My tempo. Oh man. And then with the theme of outside the box, like I know like the theme was more like thinking outside the box, like getting out of your comfort zone, dreaming outside the box. How do you feel that students responded to that theme?
Oh, I think this year's theme was so genius, and maybe this is true, maybe it's not true, but I feel like the way camp talks were written and framed, it was way more challenging from the beginning, like challenging from a perspective of each night, the speaker challenged someone in some area of life. And so I feel like that was really nice because it seemed like it got deep right away. It wasn't like we were kind of building out this story and then dropping the bomb on Thursday with the gospel, but people mentioning scripture and mentioning these Bible stories throughout the whole week, and having this cube as a prop was really nice. Having a picture for each night, and so the speaker would come up and spin it around and show the picture, and so it was a nice visual aid. And then how on gospel night it opened out into a shape of a cross. And so it took me probably like 2 minutes to open it up. And now I'm going to open the box. And then like people were sitting there in silence. Dorotea is up there translating for me. I'm like,
the suspense was top notch.
Exactly.
Palpable. Yeah.
But it was really good. And the way our the first night, it was so genius. One of our leaders, he actually brought a different box on stage with him. Yeah, it was like a box from some barbecue, and Dorotea was so confused. Who brought a barbecue to this camp? But he used it
not
as
the
a prop,
barbecue, just an empty box.
Yeah, just the empty box.
Yeah.
What is this doing here?
But he was standing in the box. And so just like even that visual representation of, making that connection to them was so powerful.
Yeah. And they actually physically stepping outside of it. Or yeah. Oh, that's
in
so
my
cool.
in my discussion group, sorry, Gwen.
No, you're good.
like a lot of the girls were saying how just coming to Fusion Camp was outside of their boxes and outside of their comfort zones. And so I think the theme was like spot on. And like even what Urh was saying, I think the way that the talks were written were a little bit outside of the box for us leaders or people who have done more camps. But I think it was exactly what the students needed to hear.
Oh, that's so cool. That's so cool. Fusion Camp. Camps in general, just bringing the great conversations and the moments and all that intensity that happens in 1 week that you were saying, Dorotea. All of that is just, it's magical. It's a magical time.
Yeah.
Well, friends, we're going to talk about something now that's a little sad. And maybe people have already picked up on the nostalgic conversations that we've been having. I feel like I'm just like, oh.
I already cried like twice up until now.
Yeah, we already cried. But right before camp this year, you guys actually let me know of some sad news, which I appreciate. Thank you for telling me. But that this would be the last Fusion Celje Camp. It's been going on for 14 years. Dorotea, you and I were at the very first Fusion Celje Camp in 2012. That was my first summer as a full-time Josiah Venture missionary. You were teaching the songs, and oh my gosh, it was just like amazing. But I would love to hear, just for you, like, how did you two come to this decision? I know this is an emotional time. Like, all the feels are here. All the raw emotions are right here at the surface. But just would love to hear you guys talk about, like, yeah, how did this come to be? And it happens. Ministry comes to an end, and it's okay, you know? So, yeah, go ahead.
You know, it's sad in one sense because it's not going to happen in the way we did it before. But I think at the same time, we can look back at these 12 years and go, man, what has the Lord done? And just be amazed at his goodness. And, you know, we wouldn't be here sitting at this podcast if it wouldn't be for Fusion. And so, you know, me and Dorotea owe so much to this, you know, ministry. But it wasn't one of those decisions that we first made very lightly, or that it was like a logical decision to make. So it hasn't been the easiest season for us, but we feel like the Lord's been getting us ready for this for at least like a year and a half.
Yeah, a while, I would say. Yeah.
So, you know, starting some conversations a year and a half ago, and, you know, in like each step that we took from that point on, and even before, you know, always been prayerful about this, but especially in this last season, we always had to just go, all right, Lord, we don't know what you have for us in this, and we need you to provide students, we need you to provide leaders. You know, you can, if you're not leading this, we don't want to go on. And so after a lot of conversations with different people, with our church leaders, with our, you know, friends and coworkers, and then really the kind of defining moment for us was our prayer and fasting time just recently, where, you know, we took some time aside and we just went, all right, Lord, we need to hear from you, and this just needs to be super clear. And we didn't come into that prayer time with like agenda to keep going or to end, but really to ask the Lord and go, what's the direction?
What's our heading? Where are we going? Yeah.
Yes, exactly. And so during that time, it was just so clear to both of us that this needs to come to an end. And again, not one of those decisions that I would make logically or, you know, easily, but in this whole process, that time of us hearing the Lord very clearly, that's the biggest comfort, you know. So even as we think back and we grieve and we're sad, our hope really is in that time, as you know, when God spoke to us. And But that's the
Yeah.
sweetest part of all
Yeah.
of this. And so
How did he speak, if you don't mind me asking? Like, how did you
Mhm.
know that it was like, oh, this is clear?
Yeah. So as we were sitting in our living room, I had my Bible open, and just recently we've been singing this song at our church called New Wine.
Yeah.
And as we've been chatting with our pastor and kind of where are we going in this next season, it was the verse I got, it was from Matthew, where Jesus talks about don't put new wine into the old wineskins.
Right.
And I was like, oh, maybe that's that's the word for our fusion. And so that was for me, that was like, okay, I can see that being a possibility.
Mm-hmm.
And for Dorotea, it was just like, this, as soon as we started praying about this specific thing about fusion and where it needs to go, it was so clear for her it needs to stop. And then immediately she was like, nope, I don't want to talk to you about this. And again, like, that's why I keep saying, but this, that's our biggest comfort, is that such clarity about the direction that fusion needs to take. So that's something that we've been clinging on to and trusting the Lord as we wrap this up. And but then we get 36 students at camp, and it's like confusing, like,
Right.
what's happening?
Yeah. Wait a second. Yeah.
In this whole process, we trust that God has spoken clearly and that we heard Him, and
Mm-hmm.
yeah, super sweet.
Anything you want to add, Dorotea?
Yeah, Urh said it so well, and I'm glad he did, because I don't think I would have been able to get through any of that. But yeah, I agree with Urh. Like, one of the things that I'm just super thankful for in this whole process is first that the Lord was like preparing us for a little bit, or like a year and a half for this. And so I sensed that it was coming. We just didn't know when and how, and all the details. The other thing I'm very thankful for is just the clarity. Because right after Urh, got that Bible verse, and I just clearly heard this is it. We looked at each other and we just knew. And
Yeah.
it was just a very surreal moment. Like, we didn't even I didn't cry. And we were just able to sit in this comfort from the Lord. Yeah. And so I'm very thankful for that. I don't think that I would ever be able to make a decision had it not been so clear.
Right.
Because, it's been 14 years of our lives.
It's a long time. Yeah.
It is a long time. Like, I think it impacted us in so many ways, in more ways than we will ever be able to even know. I think it impacted us as leaders, as people, as friends, as husband and wife, like all the things. And so I'm just really, really thankful that we were able to do it for so long, and that it had such an impact on our lives and the people around us. It is still very sad.
Yes. Yeah.
And so I'm just holding both of these truths at the same time. I even had a moment at camp recently, last week, when we were finishing it and I was saying all the thank yous. I just cried in front of all of our students, because I feel like what they got to experience, I got to experience too. And it's really hard to see something like that, and because it's a good thing,
Right.
But at the same time, I do believe that the Lord has something new for us. And I'm excited to see what that is.
Mm-hmm. Some new
Yeah.
wine and
Yeah.
some new wineskins. Yeah, for sure.
Ugh.
Did you tell the students, like, were they aware that it was going to be the last one?
We told our students that are like regularly coming to Fusion, we told them before camp.
Mm-hmm.
And we were able to even process with some of them and tell them why this is ending, why we made this decision, which was a very, very sweet moment with them too.
Mm-hmm.
That we were able to like explain and not just say, oh, this is it. And the people that, we have some students that just come to our camps and then we don't see them for a whole year and then they just come to camp. They really just wanted to know if we're still going to do Fusion Camp.
Right.
So,
I know, yeah. They're like, great, Fusion can end year round, but
Fusion
camp,
is
right?
ending, but we're still doing camp next year.
Like, no.
Which, I mean,
yeah.
we'll see what the Lord does. I don't have answers for that, but yeah, we like told everyone, and
Yeah.
I'm really thankful that we were able to end on a high.
Yes. Yes.
Urh keeps saying that Fusion died a nice death, and that sounds horrible to me, but it did. Like, it wasn't abrupt and it wasn't forced, but it was just nice and on a high at the camp. And yeah, I'm thankful for that.
Yeah. This might seem like a weird connection, but I'm thinking of like those TV shows you watch where it just like ends suddenly and there's like no plan for like, wait, why didn't they revive that for season 4 or whatever? It just like ends all of a sudden. But there are some TV shows that end really nicely in a great way. And you feel like that was really great. And I really do feel like this is what's happening with Fusion Celje. Like, oh my gosh, we could sit here for another hour and share all of the amazing and crazy stories of ministry that has happened the last 14 years. But I just want to say, well done to the two of you. Like, you guys have served faithfully and really like in some hard situations. And also, Fusion is a ministry of the local church. Like, it has to be connected to the local church. It's not just like a ministry that happens on its own and things like that. But you guys have served really well, not just with Fusion, but within your local church, and taking on those responsibilities and leadership. And I think that's also really wise of you to like sit down with the students and say, hey, this is happening. And because some people wouldn't want to have that hard conversation. But I know for the two of you, you aren't afraid to enter into the hard conversation. And so good job having the hard conversations. And like, I love too that you heard clearly from the Lord, you're going to walk in this direction and the Lord will continue to walk with you. And he has amazing things still to come. So
thank you, Gwen. Means a lot.
Yeah.
Thanks, Gwen. Yeah. These really were the days of our lives.
I wish you knew you were what is that quote? I wish you knew you were living in the best days.
The good old
Good old
days
days.
before they were over or something like that.
Oh my gosh. I was this morning in my devotional, there's 2 quotes that were shared that I want to share here that I think are just mean a lot. One of the quotes was, God's plan is bigger than what we can see right now. Like, so what we see right now, it's like, well, what are you doing? What's happening? But God's plan is like so much bigger. And then the other quote was, let what I can see build my faith for what I can't see. And I like it just even this morning, like the timing of that coming into this podcast with you guys of just thinking of the times in ministry where you just can't see what's next. And even Doroteja, you were like, should we even record a podcast? We don't know what's next. And I'm like, actually, I think that's really good. I think we should talk about the times when you don't know what's next. But I think that will we'll build our faith even more, and we'll rely on Jesus even more, and to God's name be the glory through all of that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And that's really our desire for this next season, is like, as we finish this up and we don't know what we're going to do next, God is always faithful to show us the next step.
Yeah.
He rarely lights up the whole path. If he does ever, that's encouraging.
Yeah, sometimes you can only see like 1 inch in front of you. The fog is surrounding. What's happening? Well, we're coming to the end, and I just want to keep talking to you about all of these things, and share lots of Fusion memories. But you can go back. Anyone listening can go to the Fusion Celje Instagram account and just scroll for a while and see.
Or
all
you
the
can
amazing
catch us
things.
in episode 160.
Yeah.
No, just kidding.
Part 2.
Part
yeah.
2. It's like the end of any good show. It's like part 1 and then part 2.
And then it was like, just kidding, the Christmas special is coming out. Yeah. Tune in at Well, how can people be praying for you guys, your family, during this time of transition and the unknown?
I mean, we really don't have answers for what is next or what is coming in September. And so now for the next 6 or 7 weeks, we are just gonna ask the Lord what's next. And so people can be praying for us during this time, that we hear as clearly as we heard about Fusion. That's my prayer. And then, who knows what the Lord has. We know that our call is still to work with young people in Celje. That hasn't changed. Just the tool that we use,
the vehicle,
the vehicle
vehicle
that gets us to where we need to go. And so we're just trying to figure out what we're gonna do in September, I guess. So people can be praying for us, and then also for us to grieve.
Yes.
Fusion.
Yeah.
Grieve and celebrate at the same time, because the Lord did some amazing things in this time, and I want to remember them. And so they can pray for us for that. Yeah.
Yeah, I think something that God's been pointing out to us too in this recent time has just been, oftentimes we can dream about the future and we want to have, these many young people, these many young believers in our youth groups and churches, that I can spend a lot of time in this future wanting of people, and then can miss who are the people right in front of me. And so just even for us to be faithful with what we have right now, if that's 10, if that's 15, if that's 5 students who show up regularly and are interested in spiritual conversations and, being with us, we want to be faithful in that. And so that's kind of what we want. We want the summer of faithfulness, and then see what the next step is.
And the Lord will reveal that in His perfect timing, which is so amazing. So
it is.
Well, thank you guys for taking the time to share about camp, share about Fusion, just ministry. I see the Lord's faithfulness all over it. And even thank you for sharing in the raw emotion, because sometimes it's like, oh, I want to hear this story with like a nice little bow on the end, and this is what happened, and this is what's next, and everything's great. I like these kinds of stories that are like in the middle of the story, where it's like you're here you don't know how it's going to end. But again, God does. And we get to walk in obedience and faithfulness while trusting Him. So,
yeah.
Thanks for having us, Gwen. One of my friends, and your friends too, she always says, oh, we're going to look back on this time in a year and just see how faithful the Lord was. And I can't wait to do that.
Yes. Amen to that. Amen to that. Well, thank you guys for being on the podcast today.
Thanks for
Thank you,
having us.
Gwen.
Bye. Adios.
Bye.
Bye. Ciao, ciao.
Ciao, ciao. Thank you for listening to Josiah Venture Stories. For more information about who we are and our vision and mission, visit us at josiahventure.com and follow us on social media. If you have any questions about this episode or would like to get in touch with our guest, please email social@josiahventure.com. To help more people hear about this podcast, please leave us an honest written review or share this episode on your social media. Thank you, friends, and have a blessed day.